Today we are going to watch, well, no duh, the movie. Because all the red flags were obvious, it's called A Good Man. The story begins with Ethan Carter, a CEO of a real estate company, FaceTiming his therapist who is helping him get over his recent divorce. His friend and colleague Matt walks into his office and informs him that they have a client to attend to. Matt scolds Ethan and says black men don't need therapy. When Matt brings the client over, looking like the great value Howie Mandel, he converses with Ethan before striking a deal. The client really likes Ethan because they both alopecious, so Ethan wins the deal. Afterwards, Ethan goes to Hibachi Go. A loudmouth Ari is holding up the line due to her declined card. She starts yelling at the other customers to be patient and yells at the cashier too. So Ethan decides to pay for her, and she's like, "Who is you?" Thankfully, Ethan ain't a broke Oz like her, and his card goes through. Before leaving the restaurant, Ethan gives the black Karen his business card with the hopes to get to know her. Ari says she'll probably never call. Later in his office, Ari does call him, and even though Ari is giving him the worst attitude, they agree to go on a date that night. She arrives 15 minutes late and is dressed too casual for the restaurant, so he takes her to a private bar and they talk about personal matters. Curious, Ari asks him why he's single. We all know why Ari's single, because her attitude stank. Ari opens up about her ex-boyfriend, named Chaos, who had a whole shootout while she was in the car, and he went to prison. Ethan judges her for hanging out with a person named Chaos and realizes that she thought Chaos was spelled with a K. Ari then asks him about his past relationship, and he gets emotional when talking about his divorce. After being married for 6 years, he caught his wife getting folded like a pretzel. Ari makes light of the situation and sings, "These hoes ain't loyal." After the date, Ari informs her friend Mimi about it, saying Ethan is a square and way too soft. Meanwhile, Matt says Ari sounds like a straight-up hood rat for ending up in jail. Despite living in two different worlds, they continue their dates. Fast forward to the multiple outings where Ethan showers Ari with gifts, money, a new car, eating her out at his office, and even a rental property. Boy, you moving way too fast for a brokey woman who has a lot of red flags. One time he takes her on a boat ride, and she's shocked he has one. Because you know the economy down when even white people don't own boats no more. He proposes to her. Shocked, she tries to find the right words and agrees. Later she tells Mimi about her situation, complaining because she's unsure if she's ready to get married to him because he's too nice. Confused, Mimi asks Ari what the issue is, and she opens that she's still in love with her ex-K and his big D. Perplexed, Mimi scolds Ari for being unreasonable despite everything Ethan has done for her, but the hood rat calls K her soulmate. Mimi then advises Ari to stop playing with Ethan's feelings if she doesn't want him. She notes that men are different from women when it comes to a broken heart, and then warns Ari that she can get in trouble if she toys with Ethan. But Ari brushes the matter off, calling Ethan a softie. She then concludes that she'll learn to love him over time. Days into their engagement, Ethan brings up the matter of having Ari retire since her salon business sucks anyway, and she can raise his kids. But her nose flares up. She refuses to do that. Contrary to her opinion about all men cheat, Ethan tells her he'll never cheat on her, and he has never cheated before, and Ari finds it odd. She then promises she won't cheat either, and as they're about to smell each other's undies, Ethan's phone rings and takes the business call. Months into their engagement, Ethan concludes his therapy session. Matt says Ethan is becoming too soft, but Ethan says he's actually very hard around Ari. Matt then randomly talks about how he loves church girls because they extra freaky. Meanwhile, Ari bumps into Kay, who just got out of prison. He tries to catch up with her, but she stops him and reveals she's engaged. Still, he snatches her phone and exchanges numbers before leaving. That night, Ethan prepares a delicious meal, and as they feast, he asks her about her day, but of course she leaves out the juicy details. Instead, she insists she won't be selling her salon, so he talks about wanting her to have kids. Within seconds, they get into a hot debate about creating black generational wealth, but she doesn't want to be a baby machine? Fair. Then y'all should break up. He gets a call from his client, and while he answers the phone, Ari chats Kay up. She then refuses to eat and goes downstairs to continue texting. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan has been closely observing her. Days later, Ari secretly meets up with Kay and hides Ethan's info from him to prevent Kay from bullying her fiancé. Kay takes her to their favorite spot, and they start kissing. During that time, Ethan calls Ari to have lunch, but she's busy getting clapped by Kay. After several calls, she jumps off Kay and calls Ethan a couple of minutes later. Curious, he asks her why she didn't pick his call, and she lies to him about leaving her phone in the vehicle while in the mall. When Ethan probes her further, she gets mad at him, calling him a ninja, and starts acting defensive. After the call, Ari calls Mimi to meet with her at home. As for Ethan, he asks Matt for advice as he's starting to suspect Ari is cheating, but Matt says only a stupid person would cheat under the conditions he gave to her. Well, newsflash! Ari is a stupid person. Ari, on the other hand, confesses her recent salad tossing to Mimi, and Mimi calls her stupid. But she asks for details, and Ari opens up that Kay plows her like a gangster. unlike Ethan, who does it like a good man. Back in the office, Ethan has a new client who in actuality is Kay, but goes by the name Kevin. He opens up to Kay about the surprise he's planning for his fiancée, and he'll need to rush their meeting. While they converse, Ethan learns that Kay is married and has just come out of prison, so he agrees to help him. As Kay stands up to take his leave, he sees a portrait of Ethan with Ari and realizes that Ethan is Ari's fiancé. Now you finna tell me Kay is actually looking into buying real estate. I just know that man Dusty, but has a good D. When Ethan gets home, Mimi greets him and leaves, so he casually asks Ari what they were talking about. She tells him nothing, so he asks again, and she gets all defensive, calling him bro. They argue, and she says he's insecure, so he tells her how insensitive she is, and he's fed up with her hood language. She angrily excuses herself to take a bath, and while having a soak, she recounts the fun she had with Kay. But she's shocked to see Ethan standing there and watching her like a creep. He tells her he'd like to speak to her. Minutes later, he hands her the keys to her new salon, and she sighs at him, but he apologizes to her, and they start kissing. He apologized. Boy, if you don't stand up. He tells her he needs to do some bedroom yoga, but she tries to resist him, and after one or two pleas, they take their action to the bed. But the whole time, Ari is zoned out thinking of the thick aubergine she had earlier. Days later, Ethan takes Kay around and shows him some properties. While at it, Kay asks him about his relationship to know how far Ethan has gone. Ethan naively tells him everything. Kay also opens up a bit and tries to get Ethan to spill one or two secrets, but Ethan has none. Before Ethan heads out, Kay asks him for advice in marriage, and Ethan tells him RTC, and as he explains, Ari texts Kay if they could meet. They meet privately and explore their bodies. Later that night, Ari arrives extremely late and meets Ethan waiting for her. He then asks her where she's been, and she starts acting all defensive, but he reminds her that he's her fiancé and has every right to know where she was. Quickly, Ari lies to him that she was out having drinks with Mimi, and he replies her sarcastically. He then tells her that he has been waiting to give her a surprise, an investment property. She instantly retorts that she didn't ask him to get it for her, and she didn't need to be taken care of. Seeing that she's on a high note, Ari apologizes to him and lies that it's been work that has been making her cranky. Ethan sees that she's hiding something from him, so he tells her that they should take a break, and the perfect opportunity will be when he's out of town from Wednesday to Saturday on a business trip. As usual, Ari tries to blame him by asking why he's just informing her, but he tells her he just got the news. She agrees to the truce, and he walks inside. Left alone, Ari texts Kay to tell him about the break, and he agrees to come over. During the break, Ari visits her mom. Now, why Auntie look the same age as Ari? She looks good. She asks Ari about how things are going between her and Ethan, and Ari tells her about how she can't forget Kay despite Ethan treating her well. As an experienced street thug magnate herself, Ari's mom advises her to stick with Ethan, who loves her rather than Kay. Later that night, Ari thinks it over and recalls all the good times she's had with Ethan. She texts Kay to cancel the whole meeting with him, but can't bring herself to send the text. She weighs the choices and picks the way of the streets. That night, Kay shows up to Ethan's home, and she dishes him his favorite food. Rather than digging into it, he chooses to feast on Ari, and she takes him to Ethan's room. That night, Ethan returns from his trip with Matt, and Matt asks him if he still suspects Ari to be having an affair. Ethan is unsure, but he makes up his mind to fix things, which is why he came back sooner than the intended date to surprise her. Matt drops Ethan off at his house, and when he enters, he calls for Ari, but she doesn't respond, so he heads upstairs. On the way, he hears a pig squealing and the cries of daughter calling for her dad. Still, he summons the courage to check the bedroom, and once he confirms that it is indeed clapping, he breaks down in tears. Moments later, he mans up and grabs a gun in the other room before entering the room. Ari starts crying, but he shuts her up and then points the gun at Kay, asking him why he's in his house. That's when Ari realizes that they know each other, and seeing her reaction, Ethan concludes that Kevin is chaos. He knocks Kay out with his gun, and Ari pounces on him, but he also knocks her out. He then drags them to his basement and tapes their mouths and ties their limbs. After a while, he wakes them up and tells them the methods he can use to get rid of their bodies. Once he removes the tapes covering their mouths, Kay tries to act tough, but Ethan shows him that he's got more than a few screws loose. Ari starts apologizing to him, but Kay laughs and tells Ethan that Ari is addicted to Thug D. Seeing that Kay won't stop laughing at him, Ethan grabs a hammer and smashes Kay's ashy knee, and Ari begs him to stop. Ethan then wonders why she's defending him, and then reveals to her that Kay has a wife. To worsen the case, he shows Kay that he used his phone to invite her over. Speaking of the devil, the doorbell rings and Ethan goes to fetch Kay's wife. Unfortunately, she came with his son, so he tapes them and introduces them to Ari. Upon seeing the wife, Ari recognizes her as Michelle, Kay's baby mama. Ain't no way that mixed boy is Kay's son. Ethan exposes Kay's affair and then burns his skin after threatening to harm him. To prove that he gets to call the shots, fatback Ethan shoots Kay's family and stabs Ari's leg with a knife. Kay, having nothing left to lose, calls Ethan a weakling and promises to kill Ari just like Ethan had done to Michelle. What the helly? This movie escalated real quick. Ari completely changes sides and begs for Ethan to untie her, but he refuses and stabs Kay to death. Ari, who has been struggling to untie her hands, finally succeeds and shoots Ethan's arm with his gun before fleeing. Ethan looks around the house for her, and the folds on the back of his head is a big red flag. She jumps him with his gun. He slowly crawls up to her and struggles with the gun before firing a shot. Time passes, and another lady speaks on the phone with her friend as she anticipates her blind date, which her brother had set up for her. She lists the qualities she wants in the man she's expecting, and Ethan shows up introducing himself as her date. That's the end of the movie, but there's a part 2. Leave a like and comment if we should cover that. What did y'all think of this one?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you'd like to watch more foolishness, click here or here.